Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. KJRadio.com is where you can find out more about me and the team, and you can get us on demand anytime you want. Let people know if you like the show. Share it. Tell your friends, your family, send them emails. Go get the clips that we break the show apart in bite-sized chunks, full show or individual segments. You don't have to go more than 10 minutes of this show, and I'm going to make you a bet. If you send one of our segments to one of your friends, if they're not hooked within 5 minutes, they're brain dead morons. No, I'm kidding. We just aren't for them. But you will be, because not only are we going to impart some knowledge on you, we're going to have a little bit of fun. Now, today's theme is patience. Patience is a virtue you've probably heard growing up. But there was a gentleman, his name was Saidi, and he says, have patience. All things are difficult before they become easy. This is what I preach to people. I preach to anybody. If you're going to start something, it's going to take you 2 years to become good at it. I'm talking about doing it every day. 2 years. If I teach you how to throw a punch, it's going to look awkward. You're going to be, and it's not going to have any impact. But if you practice throwing that punch for 2 years, multiple times every day, say you threw that punch 100 times every day for 2 years, both hands, you're going to throw that punch with an efficiency, because if you throw it right, because I've taught many people, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Yeah, I'll get that out. You try it. So patience, yes, it's bitter, but its fruit is sweet. Genius is patient, said Sir Isaac Newton. And let me tell you what you did. You exercised patience. We got exactly what we want. And now it is time to put your foot on the accelerator. Push that throttle down. I wanted to talk about in this hour about a guy who wrote an opinion piece. He's a lefty, writes for the New York Times. And essentially the premise was why 2017 was the best year in human history. And he says, we all know that the world is going to hell. Given the rising risk of nuclear war with North Korea, the paralysis in Congress, warfare in Yemen and Syria, atrocities in Myanmar, and a president who may be going cuckoo, you might think 2017 was the worst year ever. Hold on just a second there, Kimosabi. No, I believe it was the best year ever. Because what he just described is the world that Barack Obama handed over to President Donald Trump. Now, I don't know if we talked about it much, but, well, we did talk about the first hour about Trump is supposedly unhinged, but I couldn't cover enough how the left wants you to believe that he's losing it. And, of course, my contention is our president, who may if you want to claim that he's got some form of dementia, it's really amazing how much better he is with dementia than your president is when you say he's got all the perks, right? Barack Obama had it all. And supposedly our guy, who's a dummy, a graduate of Wharton, who's a billionaire, our dummy is certainly outperforming theirs. But he goes on to say, finally, you'd be wrong. 2017 was probably the very best year in the long history of humanity. And what's interesting about this is, yet again, another stupid, lame-brained, moronic leftist is telling you the truth about 2017, but he doesn't want to tell you it's Trump who's leading this cause. He says a smaller share of the world's people were hungry, impoverished, or illiterate than at any time before. A smaller population of children died than ever before. The proportion disfigured by leprosy, blinded by diseases like trachoma, or suffering from other ailments also fell. Do you think that stuff fell by accident? It fell because as the U.S. goes, the world goes. The world is benefiting from what you did, folks. The patience you exercised by saying, you know what, we got to endure another 4 years of Obama in 2012. We endured 8 years of the worst president in history. We were long suffering, but it paid off. He says we need some perspective as we watch the circus in Washington hand over our mouths in horror. We journalists focus on bad news. We cover planes that crash, not those that take off, but the backdrop of global progress may be the most important development of our lifetime. No truer words can be spoken. Donald Trump has made the world much safer. And this moron doesn't even recognize it. What a fool. And he's somebody that people rely on, that they look to his commentary for him to say, oh, well, this is a great opinion. This is coming from the New York Times. Every day, he says, the number of people living in extreme poverty, less than about $2 a day, goes down by 217,000. These are calculations by Oxford economists. And he says, every day, 325,000 more people gain access to electricity and 300,000 more people gain access to clean water. Let me tell you who's paying for that. You are. You're the ones paying for that. All those dollars that we send to these impoverished countries, you're the reason. And let me tell you what Donald Trump is going to do. And I'm just telling you how this man looks at the world. He sees it as, if you take a country like North Korea that's making nothing, it's doing nothing, there's nothing it brings to the world, but it has natural resources. Not only the natural resources of its people, it has the natural resources of its geography. If you take those natural resources and you get those people working together, if you were to get their GDP humming, it makes for a bigger pie. He doesn't see them as competition to America. He sees them as adding to the pie. What leftists see is they see a pie that's a particular size. It cannot be bigger. And they say, if the United States takes a bigger slice of the pie, then somebody gets hurt. And if you believe in that concept that the pie is one size, then you're right. But if you believe that everywhere in the world there's something to be offered to the world, you increase the GDP of the world. Imagine if everybody grew twice. We doubled the size of our GDPs, and put emphasis on these poorer countries where we establish decent GDPs. Right now, there are countries that are rounding errors in terms of their GDPs in our budget. That's unfair, but it isn't our fault. It's the fault of the people in charge of them, and it's the fault of leftism. It's the fault of these communists, these fascists, these socialists who believe these policies work, and they never do. When we come back, I want to go more into detail around what this guy's talking about, because what's so cool about it is he's defining all the ripple effect, if you will, of the election of Donald Trump and how the world is improving without wanting to recognize where it comes from. I'd love him to say, oh yeah, this is Barack Obama's policies. He couldn't say that with a straight face.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.